This lighting walkthrough video's been on the planned list for a while, and we finally got it done. So pardon the pun, but it's Jeremy's time to shine. All right, we're here with Jeremy. He is the LD. You want to tell us what we're looking at right now?
Right here we're looking at an Avolite Titan Mobile. It's one of the most compact, flyable rigs that a lot of touring LDs use. In this particular case, for the show tomorrow, they are bringing in their own desk, and this desk is put in place just for testing purposes. It allows me to touch the rig, make sure everything's ready to go for tomorrow's show. When their LD gets in, I hand them a patch sheet, and away we go. But this allows me, before the show, to see if the fixtures are operating properly, all the addressing's proper, in order to hand it off to the band's LD.
How many universes are we sending them or giving them?
Right now, we will be giving them 3 universes, one for downstage for LED, static pars, and a couple universes of moving spot fixtures.
All right, cool. Let's talk a little bit about how that gets to the stage then.
Wonderful. Following the line, so all the lines of this console come out the side here through a Cat5 conversion. I have up to 4 universes in that conversion, but it goes into this box and down a Cat5e cable. That Cat5e cable then travels all the way down to the front of the stage, and the splitter is landed on stage right. And that's where everything lighting-wise gets plugged into.
Sounds like we need to hit the stage. All right, so you mentioned the splitter, so we're at the stage now. Let's talk about the splitter. This is the other end of the DMX snake for us.
Correct. So the signal will pass through that Cat5e EtherCon connection into the box, very similar, but with the other gender on the other side, and it will then go into the inputs of our splitter DMX controllers. And then the output determining where they land, and for instance, this is our LED or our static fixtures, and all of those fixtures are then plugged into those outputs accordingly. And then the next universe, a mover fixture, all those fixtures are then outputted and sent up to those individual rails on the stage.
All right, so we're on stage now. So you've shown us the splitter. The DMX feeds from the splitter go up to the trusses. So let's look at the downstage truss now, and I guess we can talk about the fixtures and the breakouts up there and how everything does its thing.
Yes, all the fixtures on this rail receive their power through a multi-pin SOCO connection. It has broke out into Edison for us to power each individual circuit. So each line of SOCO that runs up, particularly in this case the downstage, has a total of 6 circuits in one SOCO cable. At the edge of the beginning of the truss is a breakout that breaks it out back into Edison. There's up to 6 circuits, as mentioned before. So each fixture in groups for the rating of what they can handle being on one circuit is in placed accordingly. Up on that downstage right now is 12 Elation 6-par 200s in banks of 3. We have 6 Mark onset 120s for special Lecos, and then 6 Chauvet Strike 1s for crowd blinding.
Now all these are fixed non-movables, right?
Correct.
On the downstage.
Correct. They physically have to be moved by hand for exact placement from the show LD.
For focus.
For focus, yes.
Although sometimes you will move moving fixtures out here depending on what the plot calls for.
Correct. Allows for more flexibility and versatility with having a fixture that can do a multitude of things, movement included, in order to focus it remotely from the console.
Of course, we also have follow spots out front, right?
Of course. There are 4 follow spots on this particular show, and they're seated back as high as we can get them in the far back corners of the room. And all the operators will be on comms connected straight to front of house to the LD.
Try to get a shot of those. How many people will be here roughly for the show?
This show is nearly sold out of just shy of 2,500
Cool.
attendees.
All right, so you mentioned trusses. We've seen the downstage. Let's take a look at the other trusses that we have here because there's more than the downstage. So the mid stage now. Let's take a look at the mid stage truss. You can tell us what you have up here.
Mid-stage rail is a combination of American DJ, Vizzy, CMY 300s. There's 8 of those up there. And there, in this particular configuration, there's 4 Chauvet R2 spots. The Vizzy Beam CMYs offer a halogen light that create CMY much more rich and deep. The color palette is much more vibrant compared to another type of spot fixture.
So it's color mixing.
Very much color mixing in the attribute editor compared to just a standard color wheel. It does have a color wheel for more stock standard colors like red, green, blue, things like that. But the color attribute really allow you to be more fine tuning for specific colors on a show call. The R2 spots.
Before you go to the spots, the Vizzy beams, is that what, go down to a 2-degree beam or something very narrow?
It goes down very narrow. It is like about, I think you are right, a 2-degree beam.
I'll look that up.
Yep. The R2 spots up on the mid-stage rail offer a very wide beam angle for the ability to layer fixtures. In this case, we have upstage and mid-stage fixtures. That fanning of fixtures allow that beam angle to really shine because that wide beam angle, as I mentioned before, allows for a lot of depth to be added in the sky.
And a lot of that is really brought out with the haze or smoke, but haze especially because it's our normal thing for a show. Okay. Before we talk about anything like atmospherics like that, let's move on to the upstage, far upstage bar.
The upstage has an additional 4 R2 spots spread across evenly across that upstage rail. In addition to those R2 spots, we have 12 Chauvet R2 washes that allow for zooming and allow for, in this case, as you see here in the video, a nice curtain wash of multiple colors. This happens to be for a Christmas show, so here you are, Christmas. But these serve as the upstage light for backlighting the artist, and can also be used in conjunction in other various ways to really tie a show together.
Of course, you could also, if they bring your ground package in, light up the curtain from the bottom, uplight.
Correct.
Backlight the band.
With a movable, zoomable fixture hanging allows you to have the most versatility for whatever the band's going to bring in, ground package wise, or even if they add additional fixtures. A nice zoom moving fixture is never a bad idea.
And the R2 wash actually has the ability to tighten up to be fairly tight spot.
Very tight spot comparably. And particularly in these fixtures, along with other makeshiftable pixelated fixtures, whatever size flavor you'd like, they can do a pixelated effect. Most consoles will have that option for you to use them on sub fixtures to allow you to do pixelations. So you can do a twinkling around the edges, dot to middle to outer, all those fun little tricks that would become a macro effect for the fixture. You can do that for a show.
All those LD tricks.
Yes, magic.
All right, these days we're not always allowed to use atmospherics, but for most concerts we do get atmospherics. So we do get our haze in here, although it does include a fire watch if we're going to have haze. So you want to talk about haze and what that does for the light show. I like to say it takes twice as many lights to look half as good without haze.
100%. Haze really ties that show together, even if it's a small amount of haze. Some artists stray away from having a lot of haze. It also depends on the genre of music. Some genres of music, it makes sense to use a heavy dose of haze. Some other acts, it just really requires just a touch, and getting that perfect amount is much easier accomplished indoors. outdoors, God likes to play.
Yeah.
And one little puff of wind and your beautiful look goes right out the side of the stage. But what we offer here today is two Chauvet Hurricane 4Ds, one on either side of the upstage. They do have a small fan for positioning to put that haze just where we want it and at the right push. It's never a bad idea to have something larger than what you need for haze, because you always can dial it back. If you are utilizing a very tiny, low output hazer, fogger, whatever, it is hard to make that thing run at full tilt and get exactly what you're looking for. Like I said, you can always dial it back.
Okay, so with the hazers, just like everything else, they are DMX, right?
Correct.
And so you have total control, or the artist in their console has total control over the hazers.
Total control of the hazers, of the output of the haze, and of the speed of the fan.
Now, how much haze fluid do you think we use for an average concert?
An average concert, I would estimate about half a tank. In these cases, it's about 1/4 of a gallon. If I'm running the show, it's a little heavier, so I would say I'd use about 1/2 gallon.
I guess there's probably 1,000 questions I could ask you about these lights up here. You've told us that we have 6 channels or 6 circuits per bar. I guess that is per bar.
Correct.
Per truss.
Per rail, yes.
Coming up on the Soco with the breakout. Now we have to interconnect all these lights. So how are you interconnecting the lights?
Different flavors. Really, there's 2 major flavors. Some of these fixtures take specialty connectors, Powercon, True One.
Show them the ends of the True One versus the ends of a Powercon, because they actually are different. You can look at the inside, see the difference in the. If my camera will let it focus. There we go. So on the right is the True One. On the left is the regular Powercon. And you can see the bigger pin, plastic pin in the center of that. The two just will not connect to the same fixture.
Nope. And some of them don't play between the two. So every light will come with a power cord. That's the simplest way of hooking it up to power. And then additionally, you have a data cable running between each fixture.
Data cable being your DMX.
DMX cable, correct. So in that case, you would have the Powercon or True One or IEC in some cases plug in the light and then plug into an Edison output. And in some cases, you can do a Siamese cable, a married cable that has both power and data, DMX cable, intertwined together, banded, and you use that one cable to go between fixture and fixture. Do you want to make very good note of knowing how many of those you can daisy chain together from a power perspective? So read your manuals on each fixture to see how many of those fixtures you can put onto one circuit. Little bit of math do you a world of good to be able to quickly and efficiently wire your rig up.
And you mentioned the Powercons, the True Ones, because the two don't necessarily mix. You can't connect a regular Powercon to a True One connector. So
no. Making a specialty cable that would be, say, Powercon output to True One input is a very niched thing that if you lose that one cable that you made for that one light between light to light, you're out of luck. So it's much easier to make buy the Siamese cables that allow you to go from one type to the same type. So real quick, I would like just to go down the different channel attributes that any given fixture would have. In this particular case, since we're on a Avolite Titan console, this works very similarly like any other console would. You have all the different attributes for the light. You have intensity that turns the light on or off, also considered to be called a dimmer. Looking ahead, I will then take one fixture that we can see without haze here, is one of the Visi beams. and I have located it, and I have now moved it so that you can see it. From going down the list here, the first for me is intensity. So you have the dimmer that you can then dim up or dim down. It uses the shutter to do so, but you can allow more or less light through the shutter barn door there. The next attribute is a strobe. This is a strobe that's set up within the fixture itself. Every fixture is slightly different on percentages and what types of strobes you can offer. Round strobes, pulsing, straight up strobes, and then of course there is an open and a closed. Open and closed. We'll pick it back open for this demonstration. The next feature, that's the big one that makes this fixture move, is the pan and tilt. Panning, of course, lets you go left and right, and tilting is the up and down. The next attribute is the color. In every fixture, there's different attributes, whether in this case a CMY fixture or multiple glass color wheels that allow you to change the color to what it has stock on its various wheels, or color mixing like this fixture has. Also allows for the opportunity to do split color. So it's from a glass wheel perspective, you have the colors that are next to each other. So if you have a red and green, red first and green, the split color would then be half red and half green. Really allow you to become versatile with your color palettes. It doesn't just have to be one color if it works out, to allow you to have that split color opportunity. So you have a fixed color, static or split. You have also a scrolling color, so that wheel will just continue to scroll. Let me try to do that with this fixture. So you can do it by how fast or slow you like it to be. So you can make it go fast, or you can dial it down to have it scroll much slower. We'll talk about scrolling in the next section here for gobo. Fixtures have multiple gobo wheels that offer different patterns. Those patterns then get split out that gobo disc on that wheel and allow for different patterns to shoot through that gobo to create different rays of light, color dependent upon what you choose, to then be amplified by that haze that we discussed before. And of course there is fixed status of gobos, a shake option for gobos, which allows that gobo, which without haze you're not going to be able to see in the video, but allow it to shake back and forth. And of course it has a scroll like it did with the color wheel. It scrolls through all those different gobos, which is kind of a neat feature. In the beam section on this console allows you to have other attributes such as zooming, focusability, and frosting. Zooming allows you to tighten up the beam really small. Zooming out lets you make that beam as wide as you can, as it's designed in its optics to be. Focus allows you to tighten up the edges of that beam if it's open. If you have a gobo and the distance that you're shooting that gobo is fuzzy, focus will sharpen it up real nice for you. The frost feature allows you to take the beam and then applies a filter to it to then frost it or pull it all the way back to the optic lens, and it just is a big wash of color. You lose a lot of its intensities and most of the time, but that frost feature really allows you to become versatile with that light. During frosting you could do silhouettes or silhouettes of groups and different tricks. It's just an additional trick that we have that the light fixture can offer you. The big feature that I love the most is prisms. Prisms take a single beam source. Let me take that light and take it back to a white color. Taking it back to what I thought was a white color. We're going to have to edit this out, but wonderful. My favorite part of a moving fixture is the prisms. In this case, this fixture has two different prisms that it offers. It allows you to take the single beam source that comes out and allow you to put that prism in place. This fixture has two, as I stated before. One is a 3-facet prism, so it sends one beam through that filter and splits it into 3 parts. And then there's I believe, an 8-facet prism in this fixture as well that moves that light 8 different directions to come out and make a pattern as well. And in addition to those prisms, you can also spin those. You can index them to a specific location, and you can spin them counterclockwise or clockwise, fast or slow. Those prism beams really get amplified in haze. A nice slow rotating prism, adding a gobo for different beam angles and splay differentials really add to a slow song, really add an extra punch, and is a visual change than just having a single beam of color moving back and forth. Now you have a fanned out, prismed light beam that really can tie a song to the stage. And with most every single light fixture commercially available, you have this console called Special is the control section. It allows you to move fixture in dark. It allows you to control the lamp on and lamp off features. It allows you to also reset remotely, resetting all items, resetting just certain things. Really it becomes determined upon what the fixture's attributes allow you to do, but all that can be done straight from the console compared to bringing the whole rail down in order for you to reset the fixture for whatever reason that may be the issue.
All right, so let's talk about like a smaller show, like maybe something in the ballroom. How will we do that? How would you do that?
Depending on the size of the room would dictate what fixtures that I would use. Typically it would be a smaller quantity, but it's all about the budget of each client. If the stage size is larger, more fixtures. If the stage size is smaller, less fixtures. It is always recommended to have enough light on stage. Never want to put just a couple lights for front wash when you know it's not going to be enough. It's key for people to be able to see the bands, see the artists, and there to be at least some flash on stage.
In a ballroom, odds are, if it's just a basic show, we're just going to have the upstage and downstage truss for one thing.
Typically, and it's also, in our cases, most likely will be a crank stand with a span of truss, or
flown from ground supports.
Flown from ground supports, or a T-bar with some lights on it for front wash on the corners of the downstage.
Of course, you're back to budget, because budget's everything.
It does dictate everything.
But sometimes the client wants to look like a rock star. Sometimes the client hires a rock star. So
you just have to see the vision, see the budget, and plan accordingly.
And of course, in some of those cases, you don't get to use haze. Some of them you do. So a lot of times you're trying to paint the walls, because I notice sometimes you have the guys put upstage lights around the room and things like that.
The goal of a lighting director is to accentuate the audio in whatever means necessary. In this particular venue and other ballrooms that I do lighting in, it's not just the stage that can get lit up. It's the ceiling grid. It's the floor where the people are seated or dancing. It's everywhere. If it can reflect light, light can be put upon it and then change the whole atmospheric feeling, the vibe of the space. It doesn't take a lot, but it's about seeing what's possible and using the tools that you have to make the best look possible.
So we're here on show day now. The tours brought in their consoles. We've made some changes on the stage up there. Don't know if I can show some of that, but there it is. Black Austrian's become a white Austrian curtain. Some holiday decorations.
Absolutely.
So what are we seeing here?
This is a couple of Grand MA light consoles. I believe he's running one as his primary and a second as either a backup or his secondary. He hasn't told me which one yet. But when he got here today, I handed him that patch sheet with all of our fixtures that he's using. Helped him plug it into the back of his console, and he took control of our fixtures and positioned them and made sure his show is going to be what is needed.
Hey, am I good to haze?
2 o'clock. Haven't got the
official,
so it's a 2 o'clock haze.
Oh, we gotta wait till 2.
Yes. And then ask.
To add some context here, to use haze in this venue, a competent person has to be on fire watch. Their shift begins at 2 p.m. Therefore, no hazing can start until 2 p.m.
You can pan that kind of stage left, house right.
And here, the LD is calling out the focus to the local stage tech who is positioning the downstage lights.
Maybe split the difference back. Yeah, right there. Okay, yeah. Maybe have 1 second.
Okay, so on the downstage truss and the focus, you've got the specials, which are generally aimed at or focused at the artist individually. Then you have fixtures to wash the stage, flood the stage.
Correct.
Which is just a general area lighting. And then, of course, there's the blinders or crowd abuse and the audience abuse lights on the truss aimed at the crowd.
Yes.
Am I missing anything?
Not in this current rig, no.
We can take a look at the fixture packaging here and see the cases that the fixtures ride in. The clamps can't fit on the fixtures in the cases, but they are all color-coded to the fixture type that they belong to. Here we can see the truss being built. The trusses are laid out so the cords flow in a continuous pattern, and then they're bolted together with grade 8 bolts. The fixtures all attach to the trusses with clamps, and then they also have a secondary safety cable attached. All the wiring is also secured. You put all this together with some exceptional talent on stage, and you've got a show. Questions or comments, please leave those below. Here's another video you might be interested in. Likes and subscribes always appreciated. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the patrons, and I will see you next time.